everybody, good evening and welcome to... Oh, no, I went a bit Australian there. Hello, everybody, because I thought it was good afternoon and I went good evening. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news and transfer news. We've got updates from Fabrizio Romano on two players we'd like to sign. Jadon Sancho and Declan Rice. Big updates from the Don of transfer news, talking on his podcast. We've got that to bring you. 7 o'clock show tonight because I'm doing an England watch along. If you're getting into a little bit of that Euros flirtatious stage, make sure you tune into That's Football for England versus Austria. A watch along, a football watch along. Feels like we haven't done one of those for ages. It's only been a few days actually. Links in the video description for that. It'll be live for the 8 o'clock kickoff. But let's get into the show. And what's Fabrizio Romano saying? Well, first of all, before I talk about Fabrizio Romano, the biggest update of the night, I would like to say, is coming from Manchester Evening News. Phil Jones could be on his way out of Manchester United this summer. Newcastle United and West Ham are both interested in signing him. It's written down in the Manchester Evening News. It's not April Fool's. It's real. People really want to buy Phil Jones. This is the greatest day. This could be the greatest day of our lives. It could be. Somebody wants to buy Phil Jones. Even though he's been injured for over a year, teams want to buy Phil Jones. I tell you what, I'll believe that when I see it. I'll believe it when he's holding up the shirt. I more believe Ronaldo will sign for United than Phil Jones will be owning up a Newcastle or a West Ham shirt. But look, it might happen. It might happen. It could happen. But anyway, the most important update we've got for you is that in the next days, we will have some updates about Jadon Sancho. Some, I would say, important updates to understand the situation. That's not my words. That's the words of Fabrizio Romano. In the words of Fabrizio Romano, in the next days, we will have some updates about Jadon Sancho. Some, I would say, important updates to understand the situation. Now, this is important. This is important from Fabrizio Romano. Is he warming himself up for here we go? Is he stood in the mirror tonight going, here we go? Here we go. Well, he'd be typing it, wouldn't it? Here we go. Delete. He's on Microsoft Word typing out here we go, practicing how quick he can do it, then deleting it. I can do it quicker. I can do it quicker. I can do it in 1.5 seconds. Are we building towards that? Well, I think that, when a journalist says we'll understand the situation in the next few days, it's not really important. But when it's Fabrizio Romano, it is. Now, I like Romano. He's been on the show. He's everywhere. Everybody knows. Doesn't matter who you are, what you think of people, whatever. Everyone knows Fabrizio Romano is the Don on transfers. He's not the Don on all transfers, but he's the Don on the Jadon Sancho deal. If you think back to last summer, August the 4th will never be a day that I forget. That was where he was basically saying this deal's really close. He knows people close to the Jadon Sancho deal. Remember last August, all the UK press were denying it. Manchester United were furious that Romano had put it out at the start of August, but ultimately he was right, and he was proved to be right. That was the time where it got a little bit sticky for Romano because he was saying personal terms, everything are done, it's just the bid. And lots of people were saying this is not true. Even United was sort of saying this isn't true. And then at the end of the month, everyone went, yeah, it is true. It's just the bid that needs to go in. So he's very well, he's probably, it almost feels like Romano's closer to the deal than Man United are. You know what I'm saying? It almost does feel like Romano knows more about this deal than Man United and we're buying him. So I think that, look, you're going to get your in the nose, you're going to get sources, you're going to get people who want to be first. Duncan Castles will say, he says something happens 2 weeks before it does and hopes. Sometimes he's right, sometimes he's not. I think he does know stuff, but I think he jumps to try and be first. Romano will definitely be first on this, accurately. So I think when Romano is saying that, in the next few days, we're going to find out some important things about this situation. To me, that really means that we're going to find out how long this is going to go. I think that United have not put a bid in yet. I think there's a lot of people that feel that this will happen before the Euros, and I agree. There is a lot of people saying this is going to happen before the Euros. Credible people. Doesn't mean they're going to be right. Ultimately, I could sit here and say that talks are advancing for Jadon Sancho and a deal is going to happen this transfer window. That gives me till August the 31st to be right. There's a lot of people doing that sort of thing in different words. But I think that Romano saying that in the next few days we're going to find out something means he's going to tell us something. So, I'd be watching out for what that's going to be. You're going to get people guessing because they want to be before Romano, but I tell you what, I know Romano is close to this deal and he will announce what's happening with this deal probably by early next week. And I think what it will be is something along the lines of a deal has been agreed and it's here we go, or it will be that United are in deep conversation with Dortmund, and that continues, and that might continue all over the Euros. Really, it's down to United. Can they get the 80 million and just get the deal done very quickly, or are they going to negotiate for weeks and weeks and weeks again? And I would advise United not to negotiate for weeks and weeks and weeks, considering they did that last time. Next season shirts are the only way I have liked since my last purchase in 08-09, but now just because not a penny more came this year, I will get looked on when the same geezers bought shirts last season. Well, no, no, people weren't telling people not to buy shirts last year, were they? So you can't use that as an excuse. If you want to buy a shirt, you buy a shirt. It's on your conscience, nobody else's. You want to support the Glazers and buy a Man United shirt, you do it. That's up to you. No one can tell you not to. I'd milk absolutely anyone to get rid of Jones. Dave, what are you talking about? So yeah, Fabrizio Romano, for anybody who's joining in a little bit late, his words are, in the next few days we will have some updates about Jadon Sancho. Some, I would say, important updates to understand the situation. Now, having interviewed Romano, and I'm sure you have listened to those interviews, Romano is not English, he's Italian, and his structuring of a sentence is not the same as I would structure a sentence. So I read that we're going to find out in the next few days just how advanced these talks are with Jadon Sancho, Manchester United and Dortmund and anybody else. So I think there's a big update coming up, probably post-weekend, maybe at the weekend, around Jadon Sancho. So let's see in the next days. So that's exciting. That is exciting. Now, what he also said about Declan Rice is that Declan Rice, I mean, from good news to bad news, I suppose, what he also said about Declan Rice was that he is on Chelsea's radar, and Chelsea are looking to understand how much money West Ham want. This is bad news if you want Declan Rice. Now, obviously, I'm a fan of Declan Rice. I am. I think he'd be perfect for Manchester United, but I know people who are close to that situation and have been close to that situation a lot longer than, I'm going back to February. I've been told this since February, that Declan Rice wants to go to Chelsea. He desperately wants to go to Chelsea, and if Chelsea bid for him and Manchester United bid for him, he will go to Chelsea, and he will tell West Ham that he wants to go to Chelsea. That's not disrespecting West Ham. There's pictures of him in a Chelsea shirt when he was younger. I think his family are season ticket holders. This is the club he wants to play for. I don't want him to play for Chelsea, I want him to play for Manchester United, but I respect that he wants to play for Chelsea. And if Chelsea are interested, forget about it. Forget about it. I mean, I'd say forget about it even if he didn't love Chelsea, because Chelsea are better in the transfer window than we are. I'd be worried about Chelsea going toe-to-toe with United for any player. But in this situation, it's a race we can't win. So if Romano's right and Rice is on Chelsea's radar, forget about it. It's over. It is over, I'm afraid. And we must be looking at alternatives. Kupmainers, Bissouma, Zakaria, Chamini, is it from Monaco? There are options out there. I worry about United, though, because it's very easy to say, yeah, we like Declan Rice, Chelsea got him, let's stick with McFred. And look at Chelsea if they get Rice. Rice, Kante, Kovacic, Gilmour, and maybe Jorginho. But if Jorginho probably goes, Rice, Kante, Gilmour, and Kovacic as their holding midfielders. 4 options. And we've got McFred. How can you close a gap with that? Hi, Mark. Me and my friend have both had cancer, and we've started a brand called Two Buds CBD, helping people. Lots of people suffer after cancer, so would love to help more people in the future, says Greg Johnson. That sounds fantastic, mate. I don't know. You've not given us an account or anything that we can shout out. But thank you very much for that, and good luck for that. A Dortmund supporter friend of mine sent me some rumour article and said United should just pay. They don't want another season of unhappy Sancho. I just said I don't like Dortmund. I want a CDM and a C-bit centre back. Good, up yours, Dortmund, DK, I agree. I've heard Heaton's done, Torres advanced talks, Trippier early stages but going well, and Sancho all done apart from the fee. No CDM this summer, says Sean Turner. I'll come back to that, Sean. Hi, Mark. I prefer Ruben Neves over Rice. Do you have any news about him? Flex had some rumours a few weeks ago, says Thomas. I mean, there is tentative stuff. Lots of people giving Greg a shout out as well, which is lovely to see. There is tentative stuff around Ruben Neves. The essential thing for me is that we buy a centre defensive midfielder. I think it's more important than Sancho. I know I feel that we've got to be very careful. I want Sancho. I wanted him last year. He's a fantastic player. He's a marketable player. I agree with that as well. But I'm not going to lose sight of the fact that the season finished last week and we were shit in the midfield, and we are going to still be shit in the midfield next season. And we can all be blinded by, ooh, I'm blinded by the lights. We can all be blinded by the Jadon Sancho transfer lights, but, you know, at the end of the season, did you sit there going, we're crying out for a right winger? No, you didn't. You said we're crying out for a bloody midfielder. You're crying out for a centre-back to play next to Maguire. So don't lose sight of the fact that United will try and con you with a marquee signing that makes you buy the shirt. Who's the winner? Who's the winner here? Look at this from a very serious point. Who is the winner here? The Glazers out protest stops. The shirts get sold. Jadon Sancho's in the team. Glazers win. Season starts. Midfield is shit. Centre-back is shit. We still fight for fourth. We lose. We buy a centre defensive midfielder, we buy a centre-back and Jadon Sancho. We solve 3 problems. We go into next season, we're in a better situation. We are in a better situation. But don't be stupid about the fact that Jadon Sancho and no CDM doesn't improve this team. In fact, it probably makes us the same as we were last season. What it does do is con all of us to go, we're back, buy the shirt, Glazers out protest, forget about it. And they win. Because we won't win the league next year with Jadon Sancho. I'm telling you now, we don't win the league with Jadon Sancho. I don't think we'll even come second with Jadon Sancho. Because if he can't get enough of the ball, like Bruno and Pogba and Cavani don't sometimes, then he can't do it on his own. He can't run the midfield. He can't be so we need a midfielder. Romano, latest, Newcastle United are in love with Phil Jones, says Nick P. In love. If Donny plays more, do you think Glazers will pitch him as our new CDM? Lets them off the hook from signing a CDM? No. If he was our new CDM, Sean, then why have we not played him there? Sancho is wasted unless we address the issues known as McFred and Lindelof. And I agree with that, Ethan Johnson. Definitely do. So let's go back to what Sean Turner was saying about these advanced talks for Pau Torres. Now, I was in a group chat earlier answering this. I don't know where the advanced talks for Pau Torres is coming from, but we are not in advanced talks with Pau Torres. Jonathan Schrager actually tweeted this out earlier, and he's got quite good sources around United, and he said there's no advanced talks with Pau Torres. But there aren't any advanced talks with Pau Torres for 2 reasons. Pau Torres isn't going to decide his future until July. And United are currently trying to understand what the situation is with Varane. Varane is United's number 1 target. But I wouldn't get too excited about that because Declan Rice is probably United's number 1 CDM target, but they're not getting him. Chelsea are going to get him. And we might not get Varane. But at the moment, United are trying to understand the situation with Varane, and he is the number 1 target. Therefore, we're not in advanced talks with... advanced talks are like, here we go time. We're not here we go time with Pau Torres. And we're not in advanced talks with him. It doesn't mean we're not going to get him, but we're not in advanced talks with Pau Torres. What I would say about the centre-back situation is that I do feel that we are wandering more and more away from Koundé. I don't have any reason to say that. I was saying this again tonight. I've said it on this show so many times. I don't want to bore people, but I've said so many times, if I had to bet on 2 signings, and I've been saying this for months, if I had to bet on 2 signings this summer, and I'm not going to bet, Sancho and Trippier. Though they're 2 names I think we will buy. We will buy a centre-back. I've got no idea who it's going to be. I've not had anything from anybody, whether it's online that you can see or private messages or voice notes or phone calls or made phone calls. I don't know who the centre-back United's going to get. And I would be guessing, and I'm not guessing, because I think when you guess, you either come across as a twat who's trying to, come across as an in the know, or you get people's hopes up falsely. Trippier and Sancho, if you want to get your hopes up, I think they're the two players we're going to get. In relation to the centre-back, we will sign a centre-back. I don't know who it's going to be. It could be Pau Torres. I hope it's Varane. It could be Botman. I heard Tapsoba mentioned today, but I think he will stay where he is for another year. Koulibaly was mentioned today. So there's plenty of options out there. As long as we don't end up with Tyrone Mings or Ben White, I think we can all sleep safely, can't we? Sexy O'Clock here tonight. Mark, Goldilocks Bridge looking hotter than a dehydrated camel in the Sahara, says Michael Thackeray. Thank you, Michael. Been on the drink. Why are people? Can I just say, Icarus has put Tom Heaton and then about 10 exclamation marks about it. If you're excited about Tom Heaton, mate, you're the guy. You must be the sort of guy who gets excited at Google before you get onto the porn. Like, come on, Tom Heaton. Google search bar and you've shot your load. What are you talking about? Why are we getting excited about Tom Heaton? I'm sorry, he's a career 3rd choice goalkeeper. Or a 2nd choice goalkeeper. I've promoted him. And it's nothing to get excited about. It's Lee Grant all over again. Ooh, whoop, I don't even count it as a signing. Good luck to Tom Heaton. Everybody needs a third choice goalkeeper, but I ain't getting excited about that. I'm sorry, I'm just not. Hey Mark, can you say happy birthday to my mum, Marisa, says JC. Happy birthday to Marisa. Mark, we could get Ruben Neves and Basuma for Declan Rice asking price, and I would do that, say. Have you noticed if there is any competition for a target United, just go to the next option? Why don't we fight other teams for players? Because we're shite, Sean. We're shite, Sean Turner. We're absolutely crap at negotiations. The club is a joke in the football world. I don't think people understand what a joke Man United are in the football world. If you speak to any agent... Yes? You're all right, you can see me. In a minute. Seb's getting Goldbridge neglection. Just listen to my great football chat. I like Rice too, but rather than wasting the entire window to sign him and then sign someone young for future, we need to sign Zakaria or Basuma. Agree, says Amit. I agree. And just going back to that, yes, we can't compete. I mean, sorry, Mark. Our Instagram is 2buds CPD. Well, I'm going to certainly have a look at that. 2buds CBD. If anyone wants to have a look, we are not on YouTube yet. So 2buds CBD on Instagram from Greg Johnson there. I'll be taking a look. The midfield situation won't be sorted until Pogba decides, else it makes sense to buy Van der Beek last summer and a CDM this summer. Paul Pogba has been the hindrance, says Siddharth. I think that after what was talking about there about United and then the transfer market, look, United hate this, and I understand and I respect why United are going to hate what I'm going to say now. But I'm not making this up. I don't do negotiations. I'm not an agent. I'm not a player. The reality is there are a lot of people who I've spoken to, and there are a lot of people who have told me that Man United football club infrastructure is a joke, and actually. If it didn't say Old Trafford and Manchester United on their shirts, they act more like a Middlesbrough. They don't actually have many specialists within there. They don't act like a big club, and they certainly are not capable of going toe to toe with a Chelsea or a Man City or anybody else in a transfer market battle and winning without offering stupid money like they did with Sanchez. And let's not pretend we didn't beat Man City in a transfer race for Alexis Sanchez. We made him the biggest, best player the league has ever had, and he was shit. So, we don't... we're not very good. And that can change, that can change. Ollie can change. Ollie could make a sub. He could make 3 subs in the opening game of the season before 70 minutes, and he's changed. So, everybody can change, but United's, we're just not capable of doing it. And yeah, look, we're desperate for a CDM, says Simon Dawson. Yes, we are. I think on the centre-back situation, we haven't resolved that yet. We don't know who we're going for yet. And I think that will obviously take a little bit of time to establish who that's going to be. I'm very much expecting that to happen after the Euros. But based on what Romano said, for anyone who's tuning in, and Romano's been speaking on his podcast, I think there's going to be a big update on Jadon Sancho. I was always sceptical. A couple of days ago we were talking about this bid going in. And look, there are people I trust who have said to me, something's happening with Sancho and it's highly likely to happen before the Euros start. I don't believe that. And this is people I respect. But I don't believe that because I'm in the whole, till he's holding up the shirt, I ain't believing anything. I spent the whole last summer being told it's so close you can almost touch it. And it didn't happen. So I'm not falling into that trap. I applaud people who are. I applaud people who are in the 90% club. It was a lovely time. But for me, I said it at the end of last summer and I'll say it again. Until he holds the shirt up, I ain't believing it. Even when it's staring me in the face, I'm not going to believe it. But I will tell you what I'm told. And I am told that, people I trust are saying something's going to happen before the Euros. Well, now you've basically got Fabrizio Romano saying something's going to happen before the Euros because it's going to happen in the next few days. So I do think that something's going to happen. And ultimately, I can tell you about my sources. You can have all the shit stirrers on social media, but the king of this deal, when it comes to news, Fabrizio Romano, is saying in the next few days, important updates are coming on Jadon Sancho. Now, he could come out and say, United aren't in for him. He's going to Liverpool, in which case I'm going to cry. But even though I don't believe it until he holds his shirt up, but something's going to happen. Something is going to happen, and we'll see what happens in the next few days. That's amazing. Absolutely amazing. So yeah, that's sort of where we are. And as I said, with Declan Rice, Chelsea, you know, just when I was out, you pulled me back in. You know, with one positive, you give me a negative. You know, what am I supposed to do? So Romano gives us the positive of the Sancho and the punch in the face with the Declan Rice, because he says that Rice is on Chelsea's radar. And as I've told you, and I don't want to tell people this, it's funny, I was speaking to somebody the other day and I'm like, I hate doing it on the United stand. I hate telling people in the group chats I'm in when they get excited about Rice and I say he wants to go to Chelsea and they start arguing with me. And I'm like, why would I, who wants Declan Rice at Manchester United, come out and tell people that Declan Rice wants to go to Chelsea? It makes no sense. I don't want to do that. But the reality is, I'm just trying to be real with people in the sense that, you know, you cannot get your hopes up about Declan Rice if Chelsea are in for him, because he will go to Chelsea. Mason Mount's his best mate. Chelsea's the club he supports. London is the city he lives in. I'm with Mark. I sank in Mallorca for Bruno and I lost with the 90% club. Something will happen. But as always with United, it's never a sprint, it's a marathon. Keep up the great work, Mark, says Omar. Well, hopefully with this one, it is going to be a sprint. Hopefully it is going to be quicker. And I think that's really important. So, you know, let's see what happens. Hi, Mark. Hope you and your family are doing well. Let's say Ollie gets all the players he wants. What is going to be your expectations that season? Well, Emmanuel, we're back on Lollipop Lane again, aren't we? With Candy Floss Clouds and Cherryade Rain and, you know, Werther's original doorknobs that we're licking. Who licks a doorknob? But you know what I mean? We're in that situation here that if we did get Jadon Sancho and we did get Raphael Varane and we did get Declan Rice, what would that mean next season? Will it be all eyes on Ollie? Because I don't see how a team with David De Gea, hopefully, Wan-Bissaka with Trippier backing him up, Varane, Maguire, Shaw, Rice, Pogba, Bruno, Rashford, Cavani and Sancho. How does that team not challenge for a title? Just wait a minute, Seb, 1 minute. How does that team fail? You know, how does it fail? So I think that if he got those three signings, and it is three signings, if he got those three signings, then I would expect success next year. And success for me next year, well, it's not unachievable to go into a season and win a title. You know, this time last year, Chelsea were in the same position as us. They're now Champions League winners. So in a year, things can turn around very, very quickly. They can. I think if he got those three signings, United could do really, really well. Could you see United leave the CDM for this season and go all out for Bellingham next season? Full focus on right wing and centre back this season. See, Sean, I hate that. And you make a good point, and I appreciate it. But don't you hate that, Sean? Do you think United will focus on a centre-back and a right winger this year and then leave the midfielder until next year? Who are we? Are we Manchester United or are we Southampton? Like, you know, if we don't bring in a midfielder this year, we don't win anything this season. So we're basically writing off a season. And this is what infuriates me, Sean. This is what really infuriates me. Look at Chelsea. A year ago, they were where we were. And a year later, they're Champions League winners. Do they sit there and go, let's get the midfielder next year? You waste a year. You don't need... United sell you horseshit. They sell you horseshit with 3-year plans. We don't need a 3-year plan. The reason we didn't get Sancho and Upamecano last summer is because we're owned by tightwads. Tight people who don't want to get their wallets or the wad out their wallet, you know. And that's it. You know, they say you've got to be patient. They say we're making progress. They say it's a journey. Why do we have to be patient? Why is it a journey? Because you're not buying the players. Because you don't want to buy the players. You want to do it gradually because it's cheaper to do it. I mean, that's what it's about. Don't buy the midfielder this year, buy him next year. Cheaper. Use the money, you know, spread it out. And that's the issue, isn't it? You know, you've got to go and buy the players that you need to buy. That's what you need to do. And you know, I think that we all want to beat about the mulberry bush, or any other bush. I can't think of any other brand of bush. Kate Bush. And, you know, we all want to beat her out of the bush. Don't beat Kate Bush. Wuthering Heights is fantastic. Then she would be wuthering. But the reality is, that's a reference from something. But the reality is, you know, I think Chelsea are now the example, like Leicester were the example. But I think the Leicester argument, people used to go, well, it was just a bad season. Because I always used to say about United's progression and let's be patient, and it's a 3-year plan. I don't think football seasons work like that. I think it's a load of bullshit. I think it's just about saving money. I don't think you can have a 3-year plan, because I think every season's different and you never know how a season's going to be. No one thought we'd be second, but Liverpool and Chelsea imploded at different points of the season and we took advantage. What if next season everyone implodes but we didn't get the midfielder in and therefore we didn't win the title? And I think that, Leicester won the title from being relegation candidates to going winning the title in 1 year. But people go, it was a funny year. But now look at Chelsea. Chelsea level with us a year ago, exactly the same points, and we finished above them. So we're in exactly the same position. They bought a lot of players, they sacked a manager, they brought a new manager in, all in the space of 8 months, and now the Champions League winners. United can be second in the league and Champions League winners next year. And don't you let anybody tell you that can't happen. Because if Chelsea can do it because they brought the right players in, so can we. This bullshit of 3-year plans and patience. You know what? The Glazers, Ed Woodward, Ollie, they can smoke it. Because it's bullshit. Oh, patience, 3-year plan, progress, work in progress. Bullshit. It doesn't exist. You can go from second in the league to first in a year, and you can go from third in the league to Champions League winners in a year, because it's been done. What did Chelsea do to do that? They got a good manager in and they bought the players they needed. And that is what United should be doing this summer. Buying the players we need. And then if it doesn't work out, sack Ollie at Christmas, get a new manager and you might win the Champions League. We should get Ndidi instead. Proved he can be the lone CDM in a 3 in an attacking team and is the destroyer we need, and his passing is really good, says Mohammed. I think Ndidi's very hard to get. Leicester can see us coming a mile off. By the time the board get around to building Ollie his team, Mason Greenwood will be approaching retirement. Don't trust this journey at all, says Nick P. Thanks, mate. If you message us on Instagram, we can explain it all properly in our story that drives us to spread awareness. Well, I've underlined it there and I will do that. Right, I'm live on That's Football in 10 minutes, everybody. So I'm going to have to wrap this up very, very quickly. But the link is in the video description for That's Football. I'm going to be live in there 10 minutes. We'll carry on some of this conversation. Also at half-time, I like to do a good topic. The half-time topic on That's Football England versus Austria today is one transfer for every team in the Premier League that would improve them. So that'll be a good little bit of a chat. But yeah, I'm going to be on That's Football in 10 minutes time. So make sure you join me there. We'll continue the chat whilst watching England versus Austria. I think Sancho's on the bench for that, so we should get to see Sancho. I think Henderson is on the bench as well. Shaw's not playing. But yeah, links in the video description. I'll see you over there in 10 minutes. Just a quick show, but a good show. Make sure you subscribe, smash a like on the video, and I'll see you over on That's Football in about 10 minutes time. Link in the video description, or just type in That's Football. See you in a minute.